Okay, thanks very much. Welcome everyone to the Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 Sewage Commission meeting. And I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are on the unceded territories of the Comox First Nation. And I'd also like to welcome Major Stevens to the Commission. He's filling in for, or taking the place of Lieutenant Colonel Gerard for CFB Comox. So welcome to the meeting. And I'll also welcome Director Hamir, who's here today because Area B is involved in one of our discussions. So she's joining us in case she has any input in that. And with that, we'll move right into section C, which is management report. If someone could move that, please. Second. And are there any, I'll pass it over to staff for comments.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I just wanted to draw your attention to a very important week, and a lot of preparation, a lot of materials and information has been prepared for something that's not on the agenda, but that is the public consultation process for the liquid waste management plan. We sent a note out to you, the Commissioners, last week to inform you of that. Basically, it's now opportunity for the public to go online to find out more about the conveyance options. A lot of thorough analysis has been done to evaluate those, and that's being shared with the public. There will be the opportunity for open houses moving forward. Those are being listed. And the most important part, the opportunity for input through our online processes. So in the event that you do have any questions, we're here and available for you. If the public is wondering about anything, our staff are more than able and willing to provide the answers to questions that the public may have. A very big moment for the Sewage Commission to move forward on the liquid waste management plan, and in particular choose the right option for conveyance of our materials to the sewage treatment plant.
That's really great, CEO. And would you recap the timeline for us then? How long is the public engagement and the next step after that?
On those details, I'll just ask Chris LaRose if he has a moment to highlight the timelines.
Oh yeah, sorry, here you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, as Russell mentioned, we kicked off yesterday the public engagement process for the LWMP. So that was with a news release or press release that was issued yesterday morning. So that kicks off approximately a 6-week public engagement process, which is largely focused on a detailed survey, and also includes 3 open houses. So 2 in Comox, 1 in Courtenay, and then a virtual open house as well that we've added to the roster, just in acknowledgement that some people won't be feeling comfortable participating in an in-person public event. Yeah, so that's all happening around the end of the month and beginning of October, and then interspersed with those, we've got 2 TAC meetings as well. That'll take place, the first one at the end of September, and then the second one after the public engagement process has ended, so that we can summarize the results for the TAC members, so that when they make the recommendation for the preferred conveyance solution, they're doing so with armed with the summary of the public feedback obtained through this 6-week engagement process.
Excellent, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, CEO. So I'll call the question. All in favor of receipt? Any opposed? And I don't see any. And Major Stevens, if you just want to pipe in if you're opposed at any point, otherwise I'll assume that you're in favor. How's that sound?
Sounds great, thank you.
And we're moving on to section D, reports. Number 1, the Sewage Management Advisory Committee minutes. Someone can move for receipt. Second. And are there any questions or comments on that? Not seeing any. All those in favor of receipt? Any opposed? And that's unanimous as well. And we'll move on to number 2, budget amendment for the beach replenishment work along the Force Main. If we could have move that for receipt. Thanks, and I'll pass it over to staff.
Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners, and Chris LaRose will present this report and answer any of your questions.
Oh, just the blue. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, hello again. So included in the current 5-year financial plan is $50,000 for adding materials to the shallowest sections of the force main along the Wilmar Bluffs. So we do an annual depth of cover survey that it basically involves a surveyor team walking along the alignment and comparing the as-built elevations to the actual elevations of the beach above the pipe, just to monitor the any changes in the cover, or the depth of cover along that 2 kilometer section of pipe. So earlier this year, we engaged Northwest Hydraulics. So this is our go-to firm for consulting work on this section of pipe. They've been involved throughout the process, right from the speccing out of the gabion baskets in 2005 to our more recent risk assessment that was done in 2017. So we hired them to review the data and determine whether we needed to add additional cover, and if so, where and how much. So this summer they came back with their preliminary recommendation. It was immediately obvious that we had under budgeted for this work. With the LWMP conveyance recommendation coming, at the end of September, or sorry, end of November this year, we're looking at likely another 2 to 3 years before that pipe is fully decommissioned, which means 2 or 3 further winters and winter storms. So, and what the depth of cover survey has highlighted is that there is some sections that are well below 1/2 meter of cover, which doesn't provide much comfort, given that a single significant storm could possibly wipe out that much cover if it happens at the wrong tide. So it's approximately located about approximately halfway down the intertidal zone. So what it's really prone to is a severe winter storm that happens at mid tide, rather than at low or high tide. So with your support today for allocation of an additional 150,000, the work would be tendered immediately and performed in late October in advance of the storm season. So the DND have agreed to allow us to stage this work and access the beach from HMCS Quadra, so just inside the access gate. So we're working with them, with DND staff at the moment to formalize this arrangement. So the material would be staged there and transferred to tracked dump trucks, which would access the beach, travel down the beach, and then deposit the material where it would be spread out by an excavator. And Current Environmental has been engaged, and they're on the project team to minimize any environmental impact on the intertidal zone. Any questions or concerns about this approach?
So just out of curiosity, have we been doing beach replenishment for quite a few years, or is this just based on the surveys that are done? Like, do we do it anyways, or do we do a survey every year and then act on it?
We haven't done this type of replenishment before. So what we've done is we've added gabion baskets to approximately 300 meters of that 2 kilometers stretch, and that was done in 2005. And then in 2015, we went back and fixed those baskets. But for the last 5 years at least, we've been doing the depth of cover survey, and we've been getting concerned about some of these sections that are seeing the decline in cover. So, but to answer your question, we haven't done this type of replenishment before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Director Cole Hamilton has a question.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks for the report, Chris. I noticed it says that we'll be doing ahead of the winter storms in 2020 and 2021. So it sounds like this will need to be kind of an annual process if conditions continue the same way until we're able to complete.
I guess you're right. It is possible. I mean, we'll be continuing to do the depth of cover survey. So if that indicates, and it is somewhat unpredictable, where these winter storms fall, at what tide level, and how much impact they'll have on the beach. So we'll continue to do them if they highlight that there are sections that have become vulnerable. Next year, it's possible that we could be back. But I think the direction to the NHC for this time around was I think what came out of that process is that we're targeting those sections that are less than 1/2 meter of cover. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we won't have to do any further replenishment before the 2 years is up. And of course, part of the calculation now is that there is still 2 to 3 years left. As we get closer to the time when that pipe will be replaced, the calculation about whether to spend any additional money will change. But right now, we think this is very warranted, given that there is still 2 to 3 years left.
So the hope is that a thorough process this year will alleviate the need to do it again before
Yeah, that's right. And
for the life of the pipeline.
I mean, we are trying to balance the capital costs now versus the risk mitigation. So we're hoping we hit the sweet spot, but we will continue to monitor, and we may be back before you next year if this coming winter storm is more aggressive than hoped. Yeah.
Well, I'm just really glad we're keeping such a close eye on it. It's obviously a very delicate asset, and if it were to be breached, that would be a considerable problem. So that's really pleased to hear this going ahead.
Thanks, Director and Director Hamir.
Thanks, Chair. And I'll echo Director Will Cole-Hamilton's comment about thanking staff for being on top of this and continuing to monitor the depth. So a couple of questions is, I'm assuming that putting in loose material was chosen versus more Gabion baskets for cost reasons. Would there be like adding, is it either or can you add more Gabion baskets, or what was the thought process there?
Yeah, no, it's an excellent question. So certainly if the time frame had been longer, then Gabion baskets might be worth the investment. But it does come down to cost and actually impact on the beach itself too. That was a much larger project. The Gabion baskets are quite thick. It's hard to tell from the surface, but they're almost a meter thick, and they go up and down the beach on either side of the force main quite significantly. So there are major excavations, a little bit more construction risk, working over top of the pipe. So yeah, given the time frame that's remaining to us, this was deemed the optimal solution. And it's not like we're just going out and dumping a bunch of rock on it. It's the profile is engineered. So for example, the rock is deposited with a weight towards the water side, and anticipating that the wave action will subsequently push it up and over to buy more time before that material is pushed up and away from the pipe. And then there's a variety of rock sizes as well that's used to also, so the combination of cobbles and gravel that should again maximize the life of that kind of further protection. Yeah.
Great, thanks. And that actually answered my next questions. So just last question, I guess, for residents of that area, I'm wondering what kind of disruption, like will you be closing down the beach while you're doing the work? And how will notice be sent out to folks who use the area?
Yeah, so we're working very closely with the CVRD parks because there will be impacts. We're targeting it for late October, partially to minimize the impact on the public because the use of the park does decline at that time. But there will be a need to shut the beach down, certainly on the outside side of the spit. Public access will still be allowed on the lagoon side and the stairs, so that won't be interfered with. We've also, we're working with the DND to access the beach from the HMCS quadra, also again to minimize the impact on the park. And then we'll work closely with CVRD parks to get the notice out to the public well in advance, so that there's no surprises there.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we're also working with the park staff to. So we met down on site last week with a couple of local stakeholders, like stewards of the goose pit, and we're looking at a couple of small projects that are kind of have synergies, maybe make some use of the heavy equipment while we're there on site to further some of their restoration projects.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks. Look forward to hearing about that.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
And Director Morin.
Great, thank you, Chair. Somewhat related to a couple of Director Hamir's questions. I'm just wondering if the work itself, if there's any risk to damage, like is this a routine kind of operation? I'm just wondering with the vulnerability of the pipe already, does this work pose any other risk? I mean, I know that it's to mitigate a catastrophic event, but is there risk to this work?
Yeah, so I'd say there is risk, but that I think we're fully mitigating that risk with some of the approaches that we're taking. So the pipe comes across the spit and then it takes a 90-degree down the beach. So The only place where equipment will drive over the pipe will be kind of where it just comes off the parking lot at the bottom of the stairs. So they'll cross right there, but we'll have steel plates down to distribute the load. And then for the rest of the project, they'll be driving along on the land side of the pipe, and then all of the activities will be designed, choreographed, not to have any heavy equipment over top of the pipe, because that is clearly definitely a risk, especially given how shallow the pipe is. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So we
Okay.
are working to fully mitigate that risk.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thanks for the discussion, guys. I'll call the question on receipt. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that's unanimous. And we have a recommendation here. And this recommendation is that the 2020 to 24 financial plan and capital expenditure program for the sewage service be amended by increasing the minor capital expense in 2020 by 150,000 for the Wilmar Bluffs emergency beach replenishment. And further that this fund be funded by a reduction in the contribution to our capital works reserve in 2020 to supplement the 50,000 already budgeted for the work. Is there any questions or comments on it? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that recommendation passes unanimously. And that only leaves us with termination. Anyone opposed? Not seeing any. Thanks very much.